On this day, it is my privilege to join Chancellor Newman in presenting the John F. Kennedy Award for Academic Excellence to a most deserving student. Kristen Laird, please step forward.
Kristen Laird, you have compiled an amazing record of achievement during your college career. Not only have you maintained a nearly perfect academic record as a computer science major here at UMass Boston, you have had not one, not two, but 3 internships with Microsoft. Equally impressive is your passion to improve the quality of people's lives through your work with artificial intelligence technologies and software. You have represented the campus through the university's high-performance computing competition team. You have run coding workshops for organizations such as Big Sisters, DigiGirls, and Metro Hacks, promoting tech education for middle school and high school students who wouldn't otherwise have access to these kinds of programs. You are also a tester for the Algorithmic Justice League. Who ever heard of it? She should have a big shirt, Algorithmic Justice League, a volunteer group that is dedicated to bringing awareness to and counteracting bias in the field of artificial intelligence. After graduation, you will work in Microsoft's AI Development Acceleration Program, where you will help to lead the development and launch of artificial intelligence tools that will be used by hundreds of thousands to millions of people around the world. And you also plan to continue your volunteer work to increase opportunities for underrepresented students in tech. And you are, above all, driven to increase diversity in the tech sector. In recognition of your numerous and extraordinary accomplishments and your selfless drive to educate and help others, I am honored to present the 2019 John F. Kennedy Award for Academic Excellence to you, Kristen Laird. Kristen is now going to present some of her remarks, which we will all look forward to. Kristen, please.
Class of 2019, congratulations on making it to graduation. Family, friends, faculty, staff, and mentors who supported us along the way, thank you. I first came to UMass Boston because of all of you. We have students of all ages at all points in their lives. Students of different gender identities, races, faiths, nationalities, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses. With so many different backgrounds and life experiences, it felt like a place I could belong, despite my own 11-year winding path. I went from being a first responder to working in software, from studying English to biology to computer science, from dropping out of college twice to finally graduating today and preparing to start an artificial intelligence team at Microsoft. Thank you. Today, I'd like to share with you 4 of the most important lessons I learned along the way. The first lesson comes from Eleanor Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. I used to be terrified of public speaking, to the point that I once begged a teacher to let me write a 10-page paper instead of giving a 3-minute presentation. Out of desperation, I signed up for a public speaking class in high school, and to my complete and utter horror, my teacher asked me to join the speech and debate team. For some reason, I said yes. I spent the first several months visibly shaking and feeling like I was about to burst into tears, but I kept showing up. One day, I finally made it through one round without shaking, then another round, then eventually a whole competition. I went on to place 5th in the state and compete nationally. Overcoming that fear of public speaking and finding my voice have been some of the most useful skills I've ever acquired, but I had to face that fear over and over again to get there. As you take these next steps on your own journey, take a look at the personal and professional challenges that scare you. Shining a light on those fears can illuminate a path to growth. If you're feeling unsure and a little nervous, it's a sign that you're outside your comfort zone, and that is exactly the right place to be. The second lesson I learned, and relearned, and then relearned again at least 3 more times, because this is a hard one to make stick, is not to let who you think you're supposed to be get in the way of who you are. Years ago, I based my entire sense of self-worth solely on performance and achievement. I had so deeply internalized other people's expectations that I had no idea who I was outside of them. But when I was 17, I was in an explosion that left me with 2nd and 3rd degree burns and a host of mental health issues. It derailed every plan I had ever made about what my future was supposed to look like. And I am so grateful for that, at least in retrospect after years of therapy. Turns out, other people's expectations are not a strong foundation on which to build a life. So I got help, a lot of it for many years, and slowly started to rebuild, but in my way. Piece by piece, I figured out who I am and the impact I want to have by seeking out challenging new experiences, paying attention to what resonated, and using that to inform my next step. Volunteering as an emergency medical technician sparked an interest in healthcare that kindled enthusiasm for medical software, that ignited a passion for computer science that led to today. I didn't always know exactly where I was going, but each step took me closer to figuring out where I wanted to be. Along the way, I realized that where that is will shift for the rest of our lives, and that's okay. We're constantly changing and growing. Sometimes, the best we can do is keep exploring, pay attention to what excites us, take the first step in that direction, and remember the words of Mary Ann Evans, also known by her pen name George Eliot. It's never too late to be what you might have been. The third lesson was a tough one for a recovering perfectionist. I learned that it's not only okay to not always know what we're doing, it's normal and not something to be ashamed of. During my second internship at Microsoft, I was the program manager on a team of brilliant students from MIT, Harvard, Princeton, and other schools that are excellent, even though they aren't UMass Boston. But I was completely overwhelmed by imposter syndrome. I kept waiting for someone to come tell me they'd made a horrible mistake and I wasn't supposed to be there. Instead, my manager told us that we weren't there because we already knew all the answers. We didn't, and we weren't expected to. We were there because he believed we could figure them out, sometimes with help, sometimes after a few wrong turns, but those were part of the process, and we would get there. My boss also told us that if we were ever dealing with imposter syndrome, to talk about it, even though it felt like exposing myself is not good enough. I risked it, and it became clear that I wasn't alone. Many of these students, who to me looked so confident and like they had it all figured out, experienced those same doubts and were putting on the same brave face. The more we were open with each other and grew the courage to say, I don't know, the more we were able to help each other learn, share new ideas, and get back to focusing on what we could build together The fourth lesson is that small moments matter. At a hackathon, a guy asked me if I was a real coder or if I was just pretending. At a supercomputing conference, a vendor told me I should use their product to clean up at home after the kids. There are also all the times people didn't trust my answer to a tech question because I'm a woman. These are only a few examples, but these small moments, when they happen over and over again, grow into an insidious message that certain people don't belong. With how diverse our campus is, I can only imagine what some of you have endured. We need diverse representation across industries. Without that representation, we lack the perspectives necessary to catch and correct implicit biases, including our own. And we end up with biased algorithms that condemn people of color to harsher sentences, medication recommendations that lead to overdoses in certain populations, and worse. I didn't persist because of some superhuman grit or resilience. If those were the only messages I'd ever received, I wouldn't have ended up in tech. I kept going because of all the small moments of support that convinced me they were wrong. My first computer science teacher took an extra couple minutes to say she believed in me. My manager noticed I was being talked over and held space in the conversation for me to finish. A stranger shared that she'd experienced many of the same things I had, and I wasn't alone or imagining it. We must critically examine the small moments. Who can we take a moment to encourage? Can we intentionally include someone who might be feeling out of place? Are we only hearing from people with the same background as ourselves, or are we actively seeking other perspectives? How can we elevate unheard voices? These questions are by no means enough to fix deeply rooted systemic problems, but they are a start. Imagine where our world could be if we each contributed small moments of support that empowered someone else to keep going through moments of doubt. One of the things that can mess us up most in life is internalizing ignorant and biased messages. Another is mistaking how we feel about ourselves as proof of our competence or worthiness. As we challenge ourselves to grow by trying the things that scare us, we won't always feel comfortable or courageous. As we explore and define who we are instead of who we think we're supposed to be, we won't always feel sure of ourselves. And as we embark on new adventures, we won't always feel ready or capable, but it doesn't mean that we aren't or that we shouldn't try. Class of 2019, choose to try. Choose to support others. Choose growth. We've already all come so far, and I can't wait to see how much further we all go. Thank you.